That is not too surprising.
Where's her parents and all that? She's 17.
Probably a runaway or just something, or just famous person.
Wow.
So I already have my go bag.
Read a book.
I'm gonna play. I'll play games. I have games. But anyways, all right. When you're ready.
I'm ready. We gotta figure out what story we're starting off with, though.
Oh, we only have one story this week.
Oh, okay. We're only doing one. I'm assuming it's a P. Diddy one, huh?
The big one, yes, it's the biggest story, and it's gonna literally take us the whole hour, and that's not even covering.
Okay, sounds good.
That's not even gonna cover everything. We're just gonna get our toes wet. All right, then. Everyone, thank you for joining us for this episode of the Convoluted Podcast. It's you, me, and Liz here, as always. So, how have you been, Liz? We don't want to spend too much time because we have a huge topic to talk about.
I know. It's been a little busy, and we'll see how it goes. We'll see.
Yeah. Sorry for anyone who was watching or listening to the last episode. We were having some technical difficulties.
I have no clue what the heck happened, guys. I have no freaking clue. And he kept saying I was muting myself. I wasn't really muting if I wasn't doing anything.
That, and she was just having connection issues. As you could see, her face staggering from bot to bot like that, or her face just standing still and then moving. So we do apologize. It was a more lackluster episode. But it is what it is. We'll continue on, move forward. I hope you guys enjoyed the bonus episode of our camping trip, and enjoyed the ending where you get to see the sunset that we had out during that. So we were able to record like the last, we were out there for an hour. So an hour's worth condensed down in a time lapse for all you guys to watch. Hope you guys enjoyed that as a bonus episode. There's a lot to jump in, but so we're gonna start that besides doing that. But as always, don't forget, I know it's been a while, if you're enjoying some of these things, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you're on YouTube, follow. If you're on Spotify or any of the other podcast platforms, tell a friend, let people know about this. It helps us. We've been getting a lot more traction. We do appreciate that. Thank you for all the people who are liking and sharing this show with your friends and families and individuals, or some random stranger in the street. Thank you.
Always appreciated.
Yeah. So we're gonna be jumping into the biggest story these past couple of weeks. We haven't really dived into much of it. Just because it's been developing and it's all been a lot of allegations. I think we did bring it up a little bit a couple weeks ago, but now that things are more, not concrete, but more things have been coming up. I think it's time for us
more
to
surfacing, I think.
There you go. That's perfect. Things have surfaced more. Let's kind of get lubed up in all this baby oil.
Oh God, the memes have been so rampant with that. I'm like, I don't quite understand it all, but I'll figure it out eventually.
Okay, so give us a second, everyone. We're going to be watching videos to go over the 47 allegations against P. Diddy.
Damn.
So give us 1 second. All right, everyone, we are back. You switched up? Okay, good. So we're going to be watching a video going over the 47 allegations against P. Diddy by channel Law and Crime Network on YouTube.
P. Diddy behind bars and indicted on federal sex trafficking and racketeering allegations. But those aren't the only accusations Diddy's facing. In fact,
okay, so what do you know before we kind of go into the stuff? So what are the things you know? Because I've learned a couple extra things yesterday as we were sitting around the dinner table. But what do you currently know?
I don't know quite exactly what's going on, but I do know that he's facing some charges, and I've heard sex trafficking and Also, it's just money laundering. I think it's just a lot of. I think it was a couple slew of things. I haven't really focused too much on it, so
Okay, let's start then. Let's see these allegations.
In fact, there are dozens of allegations dating as far back as the 90s. We're breaking down all 47 shocking allegations against
Oh, and there's a big one I'm going to mention that I found out at the
Really?
dinner. Yeah, if they don't mention it here, I'll mention it at the end.
Diddy and what all this could mean for the future of his case. I'm Sierra Gillespie, and this is Law and Crime News. Sean Diddy Combs has now been behind bars for 1 week after he was indicted by a
Video's been a couple days, just about 2 weeks, so just under 2 weeks, and
federal grand jury on some pretty serious charges. And with this major development in the case comes a renewed interest in the many allegations against the now disgraced rapper. So let's start with the federal indictment that lists nearly 20 allegations against Diddy in support of the charges he faces: racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, and transportation to engage in prostitution.
so yeah, a lot of this stuff. Oh man, look at all these.
AKA's Puff Daddy, P Diddy, Diddy, PD, Love. Really? Love?
I'm trying to remember. I know Puff Daddy, P Diddy, PD. I don't remember. Was there an arc of him being that? I don't even know Love.
I don't even know. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I don't know PD and I don't know Love. I know Diddy, and up to that point, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense, you know.
Okay, but yeah, there's a lot
Puff
of
Daddy was like his original first one when he first came out, right? Right? Puff Daddy.
I think it was Puff Daddy when he first came out. Yeah. So definitely for anyone who doesn't know, actually, Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, P Diddy, PD, and Love was, or technically still is, a rapper from the 80s and 90s, right? He came out around that time.
Daddy came out more towards the 90s. I don't remember him being in the 80s, but I could be wrong.
Yeah,
But I thought he was he's like at least a decade older than us, but I didn't think he was super older. So I thought he was definitely in the 90s.
I'm gonna go through his wiki. It'll be easier that way. He's He's as old as my dad. He's the same age as my.
What? He is? He looks good for his age. I'm sorry.
Same year, so it's easy to remember. Okay, so yeah, he's the same year, so I can. Okay. I'm trying to see. First came. Born in Harlem. Don't need. Founded a record label, Bad Boys Records, back in '93.
So I was right about the 90s.
So he was not. So he wasn't really 80s.
No, he's more 90s. I thought he was more 90s.
He was more I remember his music popping off 90s, 2000s.
Yes, it was really popping off then. But I think, yeah.
So
I remember him being, starting around in the 90s, not like super.
Yeah. So he's okay. So Diddy was a up and coming person during the 90s. Hit it really well during that time and the 2000s. And with that level of fame and activity, you can kind of see where a lot of his connections with all these individuals have come about, and how it's kind of just basically the musical version of the Epstein case. Would you agree or disagree on that?
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I think it's just I think since that started, that it's starting to unravel a lot in the music and just in the star world, I guess you could say. And
because there's
popularity here. It's starting to unravel a lot. So
there's a lot of people who are being condemned once the how there's the Epstein list. A lot of the names coming out from the Diddy files basically have been getting a lot. Some of the big ones that I heard were allegedly Ashton Kutcher, Mila Kunis left him apparently because he was showcased in the Diddy files. Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
There's a lot of alleged names in the Diddy file. I'm gonna call them the Diddy files.
Okay.
But yeah, a lot of things have been coming up with more of this stuff coming like out with what is it called when information's being dug up? Oh my god, I know the word. It's when the legal team starts digging into your stuff. I forget. You know, the word will come to me.
Yeah.
But the more they start digging into stuff, they're gonna find a lot of people's names and being connected with what, depending on what's happening. So we'll see what more of these allegations are. But definitely, with his level of connections with people and the way some of these supposed parties have been, I could see why he had that level of basically coercion.
Yeah.
From the jump on page 1, prosecutors come out swinging, alleging Diddy is guilty of sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. The indictment goes on to allege Diddy showed a pattern of abuse, mostly against women, that included verbal, emotional, physical, and sexual abuse.
Yeah, definitely that's the big one, because there was that big video of him attacking, I forget the name, they'll probably mention it here, of that one singer that he like literally beats her in the hallway of a hotel. And like that's not alleged, that actually happened. So like you can say that. It's like it was showcased everywhere. We're not gonna show it here unless it shows up on this thing. But yeah, there's like video evidence of that happening, you know. Like that's not alleged, that he did do that,
including the use of extensive grooming tactics. So let's break these down a bit. Of the physical abuse, Diddy is accused of throwing, punching, kicking, and dragging some of his victims. We saw proof of that this spring.
This is the one.
CNN released the infamous hotel video showing Diddy brutally assault his then girlfriend Cassie in a hotel hallway. That incident isn't blatantly referenced in the federal indictment, and neither are any names. So we'll get to the specifics on that when we take a look at the civil suits against Diddy. But the indictment does allege that Diddy hid his victims for days at a time to recover from the injuries he inflicted without being publicly observed. Federal prosecutors allege Diddy intimidated these victims into his orbit and then forced them to participate in something he called freak-offs.
What are your thoughts there?
Wow. I mean, I didn't really like P. Diddy itself. I mean, there was a couple of songs I enjoyed, but not like that I would absolutely had to go see him in concert or anything. I don't know. He just gave me a weird vibe, but I guess this is why. Wow, I'm just surprised. That's all. I've never heard this. This is, I guess. Well, you don't hear these things until they come to light, right? So.
So what are your thoughts on some of these accusations? It's kind of, they're wild, but what's the word? It's not saying it's out of the not out of the norm is saying it bad. That's not saying it should be the norm. They are more extravagant than you would think they would be. That's the best way I can put it, right?
Yeah. I think that's the right wording. I can't think of words today.
But yeah, because definitely, no matter, even in regular relationships, which it shouldn't be, there are altercations, right? But this was way beyond. This is like literally like horror movies level stuff. So let's continue.
To his orbit, and then force them to participate in something he called freak-offs.
What are these freak-offs?
Were elaborate and produced sex performances that Combs arranged, directed, masturbated during, and often electronically recorded. So during these sessions, Diddy would force victims to use drugs, have sex with prostitutes, and be recorded doing all this, sometimes without their knowledge. Diddy?
Damn. What is that face? What is that face you're giving?
Shock. But I mean, like, I guess when you have that high, you got that much power and you got that much money.
Exactly, and that's where kind of these talks of like he has like a lot of people blackmailed. Like you can't go against him because he has all these, against you. That's kind of where things have been, right? That's why the things are kind of where they are at the moment. But man, these freak offs are weird. It doesn't say, not to say that some people don't do it with the consent of their partners, right?
Yeah.
But there's a level between there. The word right there is like consent, right? That's the word.
The word is consent. Like they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna do this. This is A, B, and C. This is how the storyline's gonna play out. But no, not of course. Like, you're doing this, bitch.
He also allegedly forced victims to carry illegal firearms, often through coercion and the assistance of his associates working for the Combs enterprise. Not only would these associates help suppress the victims, but they also arranged the freak-offs by booking hotel rooms and stocking the rooms with required freak-off necessities like baby oil or personal lubricant.
There's the baby oil allegations. They found bottles of baby oil, apparently.
Apparently, he's got a Costco right down the road.
Damn. But damn, there's a lot of people who what's the word? Colluders? Is that the word? People who
Colluding?
Yeah, people who are helping
Colluders?
him. That's the word?
Yeah.
That's the word.
Colluders? I don't know.
But yeah, there are a lot of people who are helping him in these things, but they probably were, and probably they had, benefits as well,
These associates would also procure sex workers and IVs that were given to both Combs and the victims after these freak-off sessions to help them recover from the physical exertion and drug use. As part of all this, Diddy and his associates transported and caused to be transported commercial sex workers across state lines and international. Okay, I know you're multitasking when you're watching our videos, and if you're out running errands, listen up. I have to tell you about the free app Upside.
Okay.
Upside. All of this download up to he flew her. Is also accused of transporting survivor Jane Doe across state lines when he flew her from Michigan to New York in 2003. Jane Doe filed civil suit against Diddy in fall 2023, alleging that 20 years prior, he raped her when she was only 17. According to Jane Doe's suit, she met one of Diddy's associates in Michigan and was flown on Diddy's private jet to his studio in New York. Jane Doe also provided pictures of her with Diddy in the studio, bolstering her accusations. Once there, Diddy allegedly drugged Jane Doe and forced her to drink alcohol. After that, he allegedly raped her before sending her back to the Midwest. It's a similar story from...
That is not too surprising.
Where's her parents and all that? She's 17.
Probably a runaway or just something, or just famous person.
Wow. Yeah, where's her parents on this? Oh, I'm going off to somebody's private jet. I'll be back. See ya. Will you be back? How will I get a hold of you?
The 90s.
Are you going?
The 90s, Liz. The 90s.
No, it was 2003, he said.
Oh, still 2000s. That's not too bad. What? This shouldn't be too surprising. This seems... For what's happening,
I know that's not too surprising, but it's like, Jesus, Mary and Joseph.
Hearing it, yeah. All right, let's continue. Remember, we're only a few allegations in, Liz.
I know, it's getting worse.
Liza Gardner, who also filed civil suit last fall. She alleges Diddy also raped her in New York, but way back in 1990. Gardner's lawsuit alleges she and a friend met Diddy at a party, and then at an after party, he gave her alcohol. He then allegedly raped her before another man also raped her. During all this, both men allegedly also raped Gardner's friend. A couple days later, Combs came to the home where Liza Gardner and her friend were staying. He was irate and began assaulting and choking Liza Gardner to the point that she passed out. That brings us to the next allegation.
Bro, that's wild. So he already had these tendencies prior to his major fame.
That has stark similarities to Liza Gardner's. Joy Dickerson Neal alleges Diddy raped her in 1991, also in New York. Echoing what prosecutors would write in a federal indictment against Diddy, Dickerson Neal alleges Diddy recorded this sexual assault. Her lawsuit also argues that she's the victim of revenge porn, as Diddy showed this recording to multiple people without her consent. All three of these civil lawsuits were filed last November under the New York Survivors Act. And so too was a bombshell civil suit filed by Cassandra Ventura, Diddy's ex-girlfriend, who's also known as the singer Cassie. It was with Cassie's lawsuit that we first heard in-depth accusations about Diddy's alleged illegal activity. To start, there's the gun allegation that on at least 2 occasions, Diddy demanded Cassie hold his gun in her purse. The lawsuit goes on to state, quote, "There was no clear reason why Mr. Combs required her to hold his guns, except to reinforce to his young girlfriend that he was violent, powerful, and dangerous." Beyond the gun allegations, Cassie put forth some other major accusations in her 35-page lawsuit. She says Diddy beat her, sometimes so severely that she had to hide out in hotels for days at a time, waiting for the bruises to heal. Cassie also alleged Diddy raped her and forced her to have sex with prostitutes, and even recorded this. Then there's the allegation that Diddy got jealous when Cassie began flirting with rapper Kid Cudi in 2011. Cassie says that in 2012,
And if I remember right, I think P. Diddy, maybe they'll mention it here, also allegedly put out a hit on Kid Cudi too. And it failed.
Man, this thing gets worse and worse. Why have you opened this can of worms?
Yeah, it was Kid Cudi. Yeah, it was alleged that P. Diddy put a hit on the arson attack on Kid Cudi's car. So Sean Diddy Combs accused of yeah, he allegedly he put a hit on Kid Cudi.
Diddy told her that he was going to blow up Kid Cudi's car.
Oh, there it
and
is.
that he wanted to ensure that Kid Cudi was home with his friends when it happened. Around that time, Kid Cudi's car exploded in his driveway. The allegations brought forth in Cassie's lawsuit were shocking, and so too were the accusations brought months later in yet another civil suit filed by Rodney Jones, also known as the producer Lil Rod. He began working with Diddy in 2022 on the Love album, and soon, he alleges, the abuse began. Lil Rod accuses Diddy of sexual assault, writing he was, quote, "the victim of constant, unsolicited, and unauthorized groping and touching of his anus by Mr. Combs." He also alleges Diddy and his team were grooming Lil Rod to engage in gay sex. Lil Rod further alleges that Diddy forced him to have sex with prostitutes and even drugged Lil Rod to get him to comply. On top of these sexual assault allegations, Lil Rod's lawsuit also alleges that Diddy ran a gun and drug trafficking scheme. He says there are hundreds of hours of footage and audio recordings of Mr. Combs, his staff, and his guests engaging in some serious illegal activity.
Oh yeah, what are your thoughts so far on some of these things?
I knew it was crazy, but I didn't assume this crazy. And the fact that there's footage and recordings of all this happening.
Hours.
Like, wow, this, I know, I mean hundreds. I mean, so the fact that, I don't know why people think in this day and age of the electronic age that they can get away with shit like this. Insane.
It's harder now. It is harder now to do these, to get away with certain things, unless you're smart. I'm wondering how. So it all started with Cassie, right? It sounds like that's kind of where the
Kind of sounds like it started with Cassie. And I think it's just kind of a tumble and roll and fallout, and
then people just started to come
more
out.
victims are popping up, and
like people are just had enough.
I mean,
people just had enough.
I think they did. I mean, yeah, you gotta put that down. He's gonna go down. He's gonna be the next Upson, isn't he?
Yeah, that's what we've been joking, that he's not gonna make it past. He's not gonna make it in jail. He's gonna be Epsteined, basically. Yeah, that's what everyone's been joking about. So we'll see what happens. But definitely he is going to jail. No No doubt about that, right?
He's already spent a couple weeks now at this point in time.
But yeah, more than likely he's like, because the things he's been doing to individuals, and these are just a few people who have come out. There's probably more. And then we're gonna go over a couple of interviews that are gonna just look different now, with our new, like, with our rose-colored glasses removed. So let's continue.
Because Diddy apparently forced Lil Rod to constantly record him. The allegations continue, saying that Diddy covered up multiple shootings. To start, there's the New York nightclub shooting in 1999.
Oh yeah, I remember hearing about this.
Diddy required his then-girlfriend Jennifer Lopez to transport his illegal firearm into the NYC nightclub. The court docs also allege Diddy forced his then artist Shine to assume responsibility for the shooting of several individuals. Lil Rod's civil suit points to another alleged cover-up too, this time for a shooting outside Diddy's Chalice Studios on September 12th, 2022. According to court docs, Diddy, his son Justin, and Justin's friend referred to as G were all there when things got heated. Lil Rod heard multiple gunshots ring out, and then he found G on the bathroom floor in the fetal position. Lil Rod says he was bleeding out of his hip and leg area. After that, Mr. Combs gave strict instructions to inform the police that he had nothing to do with the shooting. He also forced Mr. Jones to lie to the police by telling them that G was shot standing outside the studio by a drive-by assailant. So that specific allegation.
So basically, just falsifying statements, putting other people take the fall for certain things. That's kind of per standard, right? But it's like, these are the things that are popping up, right? You know, these aren't too surprising, but like, okay, wow. And like the one earlier, like another big star, Jennifer Lopez, was named. Like, this was happening. Wait, 1993.
I wonder if Jennifer Lopez will come forward too.
I don't know. Let's see. Has she come out with them? There's more. The Diddy files. Oh, they are calling it the Diddy files. Someone is. That's a very short article. Okay, no, nothing yet. Nothing yet. Okay. Is there anything you want people to specifically, or?
I was just wondering if she came forward. I mean,
So let's continue.
Involves Diddy's son Justin, but another allegation and entirely separate civil suit involves his other son, Christian, or King Combs. Grace Omar K alleges that Christian Combs sexually assaulted her on a yacht in December 2022, and all this was facilitated by Diddy. That suit was filed in April, and in May, former model Crystal McKinney filed suit against Diddy too, alleging he drugged and sexually assaulted her in his New York studio back in 2003. Diddy's former bad boy artists have spoken out too, including members of Danity Kane, the girl group that Diddy helped form on MTV's Making the Band 3. Singer Aubrey O'Day alleges Diddy
I don't remember these girls at all.
members of the band, and later offered her the publishing rights to her songs if she signed an NDA. And there was a catch to that.
And in order to get that, I have to release him for any claims or wrongdoings or actions prior to the date of the release. I have to sign an NDA that I will never disparage Puff, Bad Boy, Janice Combs, or Justin Combs Music, or EMI, or Sony ever in public.
Just this month, Aubrey O'Day,
Interesting names they listed there.
Richard, filed suit against Diddy. She alleged Diddy verbally and sexually abused her, all with the intentional infliction of emotional distress. There are so many layers to this story, dozens of allegations, civil suits, and criminal charges. And all this while Diddy sits behind bars in the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. But let's begin with those federal charges. Here's former federal prosecutor Gene Rossi. So going off and talking about those three charges, initially to me, when I looked over the indictment, I was like, only 3. It's only 14 pages. That's kind of small, short. But according to you, it sounds like RICO could be a giant charge.
I was surprised when I read this indictment that it is so short. What that tells me is the prosecutors just wanted to get this indictment out there to move this case along. And, given the scope of this case, 14 pages is nothing. I predict that they're going to supersede, amend the indictment, and maybe not add more charges, but add more allegations under each charge, as they say, to add more meat to the bones and have what they call a speaking indictment. A speaking indictment is one that's very, very detailed. It's almost like reading a novel. And a speaking indictment can be over 100 pages. This one is sort of a bare bones general indictment that I predict the federal prosecutors are going to amend, supersede, and add more information.
So you said they'll likely add more allegations, more information to.
That's good though, because if this is just what's out there right
I
now.
think that if you basically this, it's just kind of opening the box, the Pandora's box, right?
Yeah.
You just, once you have a little bit of a leak into that one, you can start ripping it open and find some more and more and more and more and more. I think that's what they were trying to say. I think they were trying to, what I'm thinking is that they, okay, if we open this Pandora's box just a little bit on him, we might be able to rip the whole box off and find more. And then more allegations, more truth to the stories and everything. So
to add to this, yeah. Let's hope that helps the case instead of hurt it, because sometimes there can be something that can hurt it, because there can be individuals who can falsify this information to hurt the case in general. But I think there's more to for the we'll call them what it is, the victims. There's more to the victims' side than it is for Diddy's sides. Mostly if they are able to acquire all this footage,
Mm-hmm. Kind of beef up their argument, but we still only have these 3 charges. And I'm sure the federal prosecutors are bringing the ones that they can get a conviction on, right? The ones that have the most amount of evidence against Diddy. Do you think that's why they only brought 3 just to secure a conviction?
I think they only need 3, and here's why. The RICO charge is so expansive that if they only use that one count, RICO, that would be enough for me. So
racketeering,
they don't
right?
need 20, 30
That's what
counts.
RICO is, yeah.
If they have 3 or 4 core good counts, that's enough, because that RICO charge by itself is an extremely serious charge.
As far as a potential conviction, obviously down the line, and as you said, Diddy is presumed innocent, but if there is a conviction, what sort of sentence could he face? Multiple years behind bars?
Under the sentencing guidelines, which are not binding on a court, he's looking at significant time. Probably my back of the envelope arithmetic calculation is at least 10 years. At least.
Criminal defense attorney
What do you think of that? Just hearing that's
minor. That's minor. 10 years. I don't know. That's weak. Come on. There's got to be more shit that's going to pile on that would get more than 10 years.
Liz, you only need 1 day for an Epstein.
Adam Conta agrees. The federal indictment is problematic for Diddy.
It lays out what they believe is a pattern of illegal activity, all in the names and the furtherance of the Combs enterprise. I think it lacks some details, but we have, because this is an ongoing investigation, and because it's sort of been in the public sphere for a while, we have more details than we normally would. They've laid out a pattern of conspiracy and racketeering that they've charged him with. But part of that is obviously that one of the victims is his ex-girlfriend, Kathy, who filed this major lawsuit last year in November against him. But we kind of have the details from that lawsuit as well. So we can kind of insert those as really the jump off point to how we got here now today. But he's got some real legal challenges ahead of him. Absolutely.
You brought up a good point about the pattern, showing that Diddy had a pattern to break the law in this many ways. And it all goes back kind of to Cassie and the civil suit that she filed. Obviously, they had a relationship for several years. She alleges some pretty serious accusations against him. So, how important is Cassie going to be in regards to this federal
That is a good
case?
question.
Well, she's going to be incredibly important in terms of her lawsuit is really what opened up the public's attention to it, and so that's really what got everyone going. That's what got the authorities looking into her more. I mean, it was only a year ago that he got the key to the city here in New York,
Oh, wow.
and now here he is indicted in the Southern District, right? So what happened in a year for someone to have fallen so far, and not just got the keys to the city a year ago? He was what was he? He was given like the lifetime achievement award in the VMAs. That was just last year too. I mean, this is someone who is at the top of the public sphere in terms of reverence, in terms of respect, in terms
He was on the top of, he was in the peak of the industry, I would say. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I guess so. I didn't realize he had gotten those awards last year.
But we don't pay attention to it too much. Like when was the last time you watched the VMA Awards?
Never.
So
I don't think ever. If it was on and it was at somebody else's house and it was in the background.
exactly. So yeah, he was making a lot of like waves last year apparently, that we didn't pay attention to. Well, we were not.
Apparently, he was on top of that mountain. It just took a little rock. Click, fall down.
Oh, tumble down, more like it.
Literally.
And the
It was
higher-
an avalanche of shit.
And the higher you are, the further you're gonna fall.
Yeah, the harder too.
of what they mean to the city and to the community. And for it to turn around this fast, I think we have to look directly at Cassie and her lawsuit filed on November 16th.
And there's still the thing is that gets me is there's still a lot of Diddy defenders. And yes, we do live in a country that you're innocent until proven guilty, right? Which, you know, sometimes it feels the other way around.
We feel like he made those NDAs, so he had to they had to defend him.
The thing is, so when it comes to things like this, when there's one person saying something, you can only take it with a grain of salt. When there's two, there's more evidence. When there's a dozen people, I'm like, okay, more than likely, yes, you know. So
I know, but I mean, still, he did have those people sign NDAs saying, "Hey, you gotta prove, you gotta defend me."
So let's continue.
And even though they settled it a day later, again, the details of what was alleged got out there. And then what that really did, just like the Me Too movement, it started other people who are alleged victims of his thinking, well, maybe now is my time to come forward. If in fact that they felt threatened by Diddy, if in fact they were coerced not to say anything, through violent threats, through physical threats, through emotional threats, and potentially of having whatever acts they committed with Diddy being recorded and even having those used against them as electronic threats. After Cassie's lawsuit, they started to come out, and then you saw another lawsuit in December, and then another one, and another one, and so there were a couple that came out that really started steamrolling this sort of this change in a public opinion of him, just like happened with R. Kelly, although these are separate charges and they have not been proven like R. Kelly's. But just like in R. Kelly, it took the public a little while to kind of get around this notion of this pop superstar who we've grown to love for decades, and now kind of peel back the onions to his personal persona that could be quite disturbing. And so, even though she is not going to be she might not be doing interviews, and she might not be out there sort of as the public figurehead of this indictment. She's certainly at the genesis of it and is the reason this whole thing got rolling.
And what
Okay, so we were
continued
right,
the ball
kind of.
rolling was Lil Rod's suit. For this, I'll turn to former prosecutor Melba Pearson. Obviously, every lawsuit is very important in this case, but Lil Rod's actually mentions hundreds of hours of
outfit
video
change.
footage. He's talking about these illegal activities, making these pretty severe allegations, but says, hey, there's audio, video, photos. Do you think that was a big reason why the feds executed those search warrants back in March?
Absolutely, because they had to seize all of that evidence to be able to use it at trial later on down the line. So they now had specific things they were looking for, because remember, a search warrant can't just be a fishing expedition. You have to be able to detail in the warrant what
Ooh, I
you're
remember
expecting
watching
to
this
find
video
or what you are
when he was
seeking.
first, like,
And
in,
so
like, I
with
forgot, he
the
was out of
Watts
town.
lawsuit, the feds were able to be like, okay, we're looking for video. We're looking for surveillance video that may have been located in this particular room. We're looking for a particular time frame when these incidences occurred. So what evidence can we find that substantiates what occurred during that time frame
Ooh, there was
while we're
the
looking through
the
the house? So
drones.
it all came together to be able to give the feds the information they needed to be able to do these searches effectively, follow the trail of evidence, and then lead to the indictment.
You know, all roads kind of lead back to these civil suits, because obviously now we have the criminal side of things, which you've talked about, and that's going to be something we'll follow closely. But the civil side is kind of what paved the way. And I'm wondering, now that Diddy is in custody, what's going to happen to these civil suits? Are they stalled? What would that look like?
What generally happens is that the civil attorneys will sort of wait and see what happens in the criminal case, because so much of the evidence that comes out in the criminal case could be a treasure trove for the civil lawsuit. So, for instance, if Diddy were to get on the stand and testify, which I highly doubt he would, if he were to get on the stand and testify, his testimony can be admissible in the civil lawsuit, especially if he gives conflicting statements. He can be what we called impeached, or basically, to use the colloquialism, basically called out, like, hey, you said this on this date. Now, at the criminal trial, now at the civil trial, you're saying something different, which is the truth, that sort of thing. So, you know, I think that the civil lawsuits may be on pause, not to say that they're going to be dropped or anything along those lines, but the criminal case is what's going to take precedence right now. And then once that's disposed of meaning guilty plea or a trial, guilty, not guilty, whatever the case may be, mistrial, then the civil lawsuits will pick back up again.
After his arrest, Diddy pleaded not guilty to federal charges. A statement from his legal team reads, quote, Sean Diddy Combs is a music icon, self-made entrepreneur, loving family man, and proven philanthropist who has spent the last 30 years building an empire, adoring his children, and working to uplift the Black community. He is an imperfect person, but is not criminal. To his credit, Mr. Combs has been nothing but cooperative with this investigation, and he voluntarily relocated to New York last week in anticipation of these charges. Please reserve your judgment until you have all the facts. These are the acts of an innocent man with nothing to hide, and he looks forward to clearing his name in court.
What are your thoughts?
Oh, everybody says that. I mean, I'm innocent. Here are the allegations. Here are the videos. Here are
Like, we have one
words he said.
We have one clear video, and that seems literally like a lawyer wrote up that statement.
It was his lawyer, his attorney, so.
So yeah, his attorneys wrote that statement for him. So it's like they have a tough job ahead. If they are able to pull it off, they are some of the best attorneys in the world.
Yep. But there's videos, so I don't know how you can.
So, like,
I don't know how you can spin that, but okay.
well, we'll see. It's gonna be playing out. Let's continue.
That was a look at all 47 shocking allegations against disgraced rapper.
Okay, that's a lot. So give us 1 second, everyone. Okay. So, we're going to get into like the interview section, but okay, what are your thoughts hearing these like multiple allegations? And these are just the ones that are currently out. What are your thoughts on this at the moment?
I mean, things are going to fall over, and it's just like a domino effect, right? We say the harder you're up at that mountain, the harder the fall. And it's going to be, it will take a lot to stop an avalanche, but I feel like it's an avalanche waiting to happen, and it's just kind of trickle. Now it's going to be like a snowball effect, and so I think there's going to be more, and I think there's going to be some more truth to it too. I mean, we're gonna see some evidence, obviously, and we're gonna hear it too. So this is I think he, even though he built himself up, he's really gonna fall down too.
Exactly. So here's my first question. So the cases for the most part are like they can be settled behind. We've talked about how some cases can be settled behind closed doors. Some cases are part of the public, become part of the public zeitgeist, and some of them become public spectacles. Do you want this one to be a public spectacle, kind of like Johnny Depp and Amber Heard?
I don't want it to be a public but it's going to be. It's going to be in the person, and because it's going to be in our view. I mean, we're already intrigued. We're already, bought in. Oh, what? He's been indicted for what? How many charges? 47? Oh my gosh, But we're going to see more people coming forward. I feel like this is going to start the snowball effect. It's just a matter of time. And unfortunately, it's going to be a public sector. I don't think it's going to be behind closed doors. So I feel like this is going to be kind of forefrontly. I mean, even though maybe the public won't be allowed in the courtroom, we'll still have people who will be etching and sketching and relaying all the information. So
the midpoint, kind of like a traditional court case. Okay. I'm hoping it becomes a live televised one, kind of like the Johnny Depp thing, so we can kind of. I know you won't be, but it'll be helpful if we want to keep following all this. But we will discuss that off camera if that's something we want to do, to keep following the potential of more allegations, the potential of his sentencing. Maybe we can even react to it live. What he gets? Like maybe he is innocent, Liz. Maybe if we are wrong, the public is wrong about him.
I don't know about that. But okay, we'll find out.
Okay, now that we've talked about these allegations, let's go over bits here.
For P. Diddy.
I mean,
we're gonna go.
The song doesn't resolute anymore the same way.
Let's gonna go over some interviews through Watch Mojo that look different now that we have some different lenses. All right, 10 disturbing Diddy interviews because of what we know now. So,
can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay. I was just making sure. I said something about my mic not working. I was like, oh no, not again.
Oh no. Okay. Well, can you hear the audio from the video?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys, we are back.
We know sometimes those relationships get ugly, and sometimes it doesn't come out into the forefront the way this one has come out.
Welcome to Ms. Mojo. And today, we're rewinding several interviews that retroactively left us asking, what did Diddy say?
You're going to hear about my parties. They're going to be shutting them down. They're going to probably be arresting me, doing all types of crazy things just because we want to have a good time.
Okay.
Representing The Wendy Williams Show. After Hot 97 fired Wendy Williams in 1998, she accused Sean P. Diddy Combs of using his money and influence to, quote, try to crush her in New York. Almost 2 decades after their beef started, Williams welcomed Diddy onto her talk show, seemingly on good terms.
I know I pissed a lot of people off, including you. Mm-hmm. But this is a full circle moment, everybody. Yes. Get into adult conversation. Yes. Full circle.
Yeah.
While Diddy presents himself as someone who's matured into a role model, several moments are now traced with irony. Williams inquires about Diddy's lifestyle and the people he surrounds himself with, asking if they, quote, violate him. She meant financially, but her phrasing proved prognostic.
You threw a house party and I got the footage, okay? Look at this. Now, who has this many people at their house? Puff, and or Sean, Diddy, Doody, what do I call you?
Diddy later discusses setting a positive example for African-American males and his charter school Capital Prep. Diddy's partnership with the school unsurprisingly ended in November 2023. A sexual assault accusation surfaced.
Our children are expected not just to learn to read, write, and compute, but to use that which they've learned to improve their community.
Defending Justin Bieber.
So the first one, before we talk about this, so he kind of looked nervous after that video, just showcasing the party, but you could tell that was a big party. And if that was the norm, there's a lot of people. And you could see a lot of people filming. Crazy. Any thoughts on that one?
He did definitely look notice. It's like, he kept looking, he was like, oh God, what the hope they didn't catch, you know? What did they see? What they didn't see? Did they notice it?
Yeah. Now, this one's a big one. Everyone's been talking about this whole Justin Bieber thing because he was real young when he was like, I think 14, 15. So
He was a teenager. Yeah.
So do you have any thoughts on this one just prior to?
I don't know anything. I knew that him and Diddy did stuff, but I didn't know much further than that.
Do you have any thoughts and feelings about what might be occur, knowing what you know now?
Justin's gonna come back forward and say there's stuff that happened that he was forced and coerced into.
We'll find out.
Access Hollywood. The allegations against Diddy have made people reassess his relationships with several young proteges, including Justin Bieber. Diddy's 48 hours with Bieber in particular isn't as cool as it seemed in 2009.
Where we hanging out and what we doing, we can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream.
Although Diddy is in trouble with the law now, the positions were reversed in 2014 when Bieber got arrested for a DUI. Diddy defended Bieber in an Access Hollywood interview. He acknowledged that the pop star had made mistakes, but Diddy vowed to help him stay, quote, on the right track.
I don't think that he should be judged like he's not a human being or he's not a teenager that has to hit some stumbling blocks. You know what I'm saying? It's just not fair to make him a perfect human being.
Fast forward almost a decade, Bieber's arrest feels innocent compared to Combs's. Bieber wasn't as quick to rush to Diddy's defense. A source claims that Bieber doesn't want to focus on Diddy's scandal, instead dedicating his time to being, quote, a great dad and husband.
Does he want to have, any affiliation with any of this? No. But I think that even for him, where he is in his life right now, I think it is a smart thing for him to just not even get involved in anything.
What do you think of that?
That makes sense. It's like, oh, I don't want to defend this shit. What if this is all true? Or maybe he did know. Justin kind of looked a little nervous there too. He's like, oh,
more than likely he knows. So what do you think of him not saying a thing?
He doesn't want to get.
He doesn't want to get involved
with that shit. He doesn't get involved. He doesn't want his name dragged through the mud, just like P. Diddy right now. Yeah, I totally get it. Oh, I'm already up here. I don't want to be up here and be dragged down.
Do you feel that's right?
It is the way of the world, unfortunately. You see it. If somebody's on the higher power, oh, they're falling. I'm not gonna be. I'm dissing myself. I don't know anything. Oh, I'm not gonna defend him. Because it's gonna. But I mean, we're gonna find more things as things come to light, and we're gonna see the involvement somewhere.
Okay, then here's the whole J-Lo thing.
J-Lo's name out your mouth. Jimmy Kimmel Live. In late 2023, shortly before Cassie Ventura filed her lawsuit against Diddy, the rapper sat down with Jimmy Kimmel. The host asked about a rumor circulating amid the release of Jada Pinkett Smith's memoir, Worthy. According to somebody claiming to be Diddy's former security guard, Will and Jada wanted to have a threesome with Jennifer Lopez. Diddy was dating Lopez at the time, allegedly threatening to beat up Will Smith. Hearing Kimmel relay this tale, Diddy initially responded with a stone-cold stare. He quickly changed his tune, laughing it off and denying such gossip.
I don't know what you're talking about. Jimmy, I thought we was friends. What is this?
Whether or not this story is completely fabricated, it's far from the most shocking thing Diddy has been accused of. It isn't the most bonkers story involving Will and Jada either.
No,
it's all about love, though. That's not true.
You really heard that? No.
What? Yeah.
Hands to yourself, Diddy. The Keenan Ivory weigh-in show. In the past, if you had P. Diddy and Mike Tyson in the same room, chances are we'd be more intimidated by the heavyweight champion. Now we'd be more concerned for Tyson's well-being. In 1998, the two appeared on Keenan Ivory Wayans' short-lived talk show. If you're curious about the pairing, the boxer wanted to start a music company.
People's been helping me out. Wyclif's been helping me out. Devontae Swing's been helping me out. And hopefully Puffy helped me out,
While much of the interview feels casual, a blink and you'll miss it dose of awkwardness occurs as Diddy's hand gets a little too close to Tyson. Wearing a grin, Tyson removes Diddy's hand before scooching away.
But it was like, I just felt I was embarrassed for like weeks. It truly is about the Benjamin, as we see.
Oh, yes, he's glittering.
It truly is about the Benjamin.
Perhaps we're reading too much into this gesture,
Hmm,
but to
that
say
might be
that
a little
Diddy has
much,
been
too.
accused of invading personal space would be an understatement.
That's a little
Watching
much,
this makes us
but
almost
still.
as uncomfortable as Tyson.
What are we doing, man? Let's talk about this guy.
Yeah, let's talk about Puffy.
73 Questions with Sean Diddy Combs. Vogue. Vogue's 73 Questions series allows viewers to connect with celebrities on a more personal level. Admittedly, a lot of these interviews are presented through a rose-tinted lens. Nowhere is that more apparent than in Diddy's interview.
Wow, that's a lot of white.
How do you describe yourself?
I'm vivacious, eccentric, and I'm a Scorpio.
In 2017, the video presents Diddy in a down-to-earth light. On the heels of his 2024 arrest, though, some of Diddy's responses feel like setups for punchlines that late-night hosts would have a field day with.
Now, you've gone on the record saying that your white party is up there with the top 3 that you've ever thrown for people. What are the other 2?
I would say when I got my star in Hollywood, I had a party. And this year at Burning Man at an undisclosed location.
To name a few, Diddy describes himself as, quote, eccentric, says that there are, quote, no misconceptions about him, and claims, quote, compassion is his best personal trait. Diddy also brings up love several times, even asking the interviewer to refer to him by that name.
Oh, there's a love
and
thing.
his dream collaboration would be with Michael Jackson.
Why?
I mean, it's Michael Jackson, man. Who wouldn't?
The Princes and Puffy, The Graham Norton Show. Many famous names have quote-unquote partied with Diddy over the years.
Yeah.
Not every invitee showed up, however. In 2011, Graham Norton asked about a rumor that Diddy wanted Princes William and Harry to attend one of his parties.
Ooh, interesting.
Diddy assured Norton that they were no longer on the list.
Not anymore. I mean, before,
Yeah, don't ruin our royal wedding for us.
I know. Trust me, they're off the list.
This was seemingly because William was about to marry Catherine Middleton, but Diddy's clumsy word choice turned this clip into certified cringe. Diddy claimed that he wanted to party with the princes when they were, quote, young bucks growing up.
I can just go over for some tea or something and we could kick it.
Since the princes had something of a reputation for getting into trouble, Diddy thought they'd, quote, want to hang out. Given what allegedly went down at numerous Puffy parties, Diddy might have felt more at home with Prince Andrew.
Going to Jeffries was not about partying. Absolutely not.
Any interviews with Cassie. Throughout their relationship, Diddy and Cassie Ventura accompanied
Okay,
each
yeah,
other
this
to
one
various
should
red
have a
carpet
bunch,
events.
probably.
Even when flying solo, Diddy and Cassie would often speak adoringly of each other.
The birthday party was incredible. She's such a special person.
On the surface, the two looked like the epitome of a glamorous couple. That illusion was shattered when Cassie sued Combs for a, quote, cycle of abuse, violence, and sex trafficking that allegedly lasted almost a decade.
If I'm on her team as her attorney, I'm making it clear that that's what happened here, that the relationship started out good, but gradually it got worse and worse to the point that she was caught in this vicious cycle. She was caught under his thumb.
Some of Cassie's claims were supported by video evidence. After watching this
Him
footage,
just running
it's
naked.
impossible to look back on any of
In a
their
towel.
interviews together
Yeah.
the same way again. The most disheartening example may have been
Oh,
at the
good thing they cut
2018
away
Met
from
Gala, where Liza Koshy asked Cassie if there was anything she'd like to confess.
I keep everything right here. There you go. Or right here.
There you go. That's how you do it. Cassie wouldn't keep quiet much longer. Chris Brown, Rihanna, and Diddy too. The Ellen DeGeneres Show. Few could have predicted that P. Diddy and Ellen DeGeneres would both be problematic figures by 2024.
Wait,
Diddy
what's that
dropped
shit
by
talking-
DeGeneres' show multiple times. Puffy parties were a popular topic.
Wait, did I miss something about Ellen DeGeneres? Something happened with her?
I don't know exactly anything. I know there's stuff about it. I just don't know. I wasn't like so super into it. I'm like, it's Ellen DeGeneres. Like, it's not somebody I really adore and go looking for information.
Apparently they were together a lot. Interesting.
Ellen even invited him to one of her parties.
You know I have to arrive fashionably late.
All right, not too late though.
Not too late?
Not too late, please.
What time would you like me there?
I'll tell you later.
Okay.
But not too late. Because, you know, once you get there, the party really starts.
In an especially unsettling interview from 2009, DeGeneres asked Diddy about Rihanna and Chris Brown, the latter of whom had been accused of domestic violence. Diddy reportedly lent Brown his Miami mansion, supposedly attempting to help reconcile his relationship with Rihanna.
If I could be there as a friend during hard times, then I'm gonna be there as a friend.
Right.
But I don't know the exact particulars. I didn't get into it. I'm not gonna do this or do that. It's a dark time for them, and I was there more as a support.
Diddy didn't deny these claims, saying that he could lend his house to whoever he wanted. While Diddy condemned violence, he argued that stones shouldn't be thrown without all the facts. Unlike Diddy, Brown notably pleaded guilty to his assault charges.
From there, I said, you know what, I'm gonna just take everything and like it's come. My consequences for my actions have to be dealt with.
Lock the Doors, Late Night with Conan O'Brien. Between Danny Masterson and P. Diddy, celebs should be careful what they tell Conan O'Brien. It may come back to haunt them years later. In Diddy's case, Conan spoke with the rapper in 2002.
Now, you're legendary for the parties that you throw. You throw a great party.
I'm a legend, baby, for a whole bunch of things.
O'Brien wanted to learn the key to throwing a puffy party. Diddy provided a detailed list that included beautiful ladies, beautiful men, booze, water, and, quote, locks on the doors. Conan brought the interview to a brief halt, questioning if Diddy's parties were safe.
No, I wasn't saying. No, it was a new
Sean,
party.
you're in my house now, you see.
Please,
you stumbled into my house.
Please.
It's okay. It's going to be fine.
Okay, cool. Please let me finish.
Okay.
Diddy admitted that the locks were a little, quote, kinky, although there might be another word for it. Maybe Diddy intended this as a joke, but considering everything that's been reported about his party.
Oh, that's a spicy one. Like I could
Lock the doors.
You could
lock them out, bitch. Lock them out.
Damn, that's on.
Parties as of late. This answer comes off as brutally honest.
You know, everybody gets a little bit more comfortable and loose. Builds up a nice little sweat.
That just sounds disgusting. What are you doing?
Depends on the way you look at it.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel.
Yeah, subscribe
and
to
ring
our
the
channel,
bell
too.
To get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Puffy's Party Premonition, Entertainment Tonight.
Ooh, okay.
In 2001, Diddy spoke with Entertainment Tonight about his gun trial, calling it, quote, a scary situation.
You know, 12 people who hold the fate of your life. But, you know, I put it in God's hands.
2 years earlier, Diddy gave another interview that foreshadowed his current legal situation. Diddy claimed he couldn't get a permit for his parties, although this wouldn't stop him from throwing them. He suspected that eventually the authorities would arrest him for trying to, quote, have a good time.
Whenever you bring up a different element into people's environment, things that broaden people's horizon, people get intimidated. There's a lot of people out there that feel intimidated by it.
25 years after this interview, Diddy was charged with several serious crimes. This includes sex trafficking, which extends to his alleged freak-off parties.
He's seen in this video entering the Park Hyatt Hotel in Midtown Manhattan with others when agents from Homeland Security Investigations approach and separate him.
Combs has pleaded not guilty, and time will only tell if the verdict will be in his favor. Given the toll the scandal has already taken on his reputation, though, the party may be over for good.
Beyond what the people know about, all of the extra stuff that people don't even know about, or people that are close to you don't even know about. And it just, sometimes, it just feels like, you know, you want to give up.
What do you think is Diddy's most notorious interview? Let us know in the comments.
Okay, so what are your current thoughts on the whole situation and everything?
Man, there's more stuff that's just coming undone on this shit. So I don't know. Like I said, it feels like a snowball effect. An avalanche is waiting to happen, and it's happening in slow increments, but it's happening. Whether we know it at this moment in time is another story. But I mean, at this point, it feels guilty. It's gnarly, man. I bet more people are gonna come forward. I mean,
Yeah, we'll see how things turn out. It is definitely gonna be. It's definitely gonna be it's gonna be a huge public spectacle, like we said earlier. Depending on if we follow it or not, we'll talk about it after this. But it's so the thing that didn't mention. So apparently, I learned this yesterday. More information circus that Diddy might have allegedly like put the hit on Tupac too.
I think I heard that too. I'm not gonna lie. I think I heard that too. I was like, what? I mean, like it kind of would make sense too. I mean,
so yeah, I've heard more than likely because they arrested the guy and the guy is coming out with information that is like alleging that Diddy's the one that.
Well, we already heard that P. Diddy makes people fall for the stuff that he's done. You said that you shot it, or somebody else said, you manipulate the situation to make it reflect better on him, you know?
So, yeah.
Oh, shot in the hip in the leg. Oh, yeah, it was a drive-by. I was in the bathroom.
Crazy, right? Crazy. These are just the stories that are just coming out. So let us know down in the comments if you got like honestly, if you guys want us to keep talking about, let us know down in the comments. We'll do what the comments say, right, Liz?
Yep, we'll do it.
But if not,
we'll go parties like P. Diddy. I'm just saying.
I don't think we can afford it, Liz. But yeah, let us know down in the comments your thoughts on any of this stuff. What's happening? It's crazy wild. If you guys want us to keep talking about it, we will continue with all this and move forward, because yeah, it is definitely a wild one, seeing a person who came up during our age of like the pop culture stuff to then have fallen. We've seen people fall, definitely, but this is like, I think, the biggest one in this level of like Epstein level stuff. So any final thoughts, Liz, before we...
I just hope justice comes through. I mean, I'm hoping that it will all work out. So that we will see the full effect of it, what has happened, and then hopefully everything comes to light and we will see more of it. So
all right then, everyone. Thanks again for listening or watching. Let us know down in the comments and stuff like that. Tell a friend, share the show on social media, let people know what is happening. So until next time, everyone. See ya.
Bye.
That's too much, Liz. We can't have that. That is too much out of the company budget. Just because your family member passed away.
Comp doesn't exist.
like what is that? We don't know. They died here. Well, they'll be fertilizer.
Anything aboard after 93 can't cook. All they know is McDonald's charge their phony hot chip and lies.